Senator Gavan. Here. Senator Marsh.
Here. Appreciate it.
Senator Albritton. Senator Coleman Madison. Senator Figures. Senator Gavan. Here. Senator Marsh. Here. Senator Orr. Senator Sanders Fortier. Senator Singleton. Senator Smitherman.
Here.
Senator Stutz.
Here.
Senator Barfoot.
Here.
Senator Watley.
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum. I have a couple announcements before we get started today, and Senator Barfoot has one announcement. The first one I have is that I hope this will be our last committee meeting of this year, and thus the quadrennium. I do appreciate the members serving, and I hope you've enjoyed the 2 years that I've been here working with you, and the past 4 years in general. And if you have enjoyed it, you please tell me about it. If you didn't enjoy it, that's okay. And the second one is my little girl was born last Tuesday afternoon, and she is the most, thank you very much. She is the most precious little girl in the world and the most beautiful little girl in the world. And if you have a bill in the committee today, I'd appreciate you starting off your comments with, Mr. Chairman, that is the most precious little girl in the world. And Senator Smitherman, what are we doing if that doesn't happen?
We'll move it,
That's true. That's true. All right. So you've been warned and notified up front. And Senator Barfoot has an announcement as well.
Sure. Ladies, the women's section of the Alabama State Bar is here. If y'all could stand and be recognized. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. That encompasses members of the Alabama Association for Justice and Defense Lawyers Association, as well as the new executive director. Judge, where are you? Judge Terry Lavelle. Thank you so much. Terry Bozeman. I always refer to you as Bozeman still, so sorry. Yeah. Just Judge anyway.
No, it's just Terry.
Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you, Senator Barfoot. And also a special thank you to you for running the committee the last 2 weeks for me, and I do appreciate that. That's very kind of you. All right, the clerk will call the first bill.
HB 414 by Representative Oliver.
Representative Oliver. I don't screw it up.
And for any of you that have not seen the Facebook picture, she is truly the most beautiful little girl.
There you go. Good start.
414 is a 911 bill we've worked on for 4 years. There are no known opponents at this time. It is, I like to call it an agency bill. We've worked very closely with Ms. Misseldine with the 911 board. Everybody has put the appropriate language into this bill over the last 4 years, and I think the product that we have here is something that will help Alabamians. The bill would authorize the statewide 911 board.
Senator Marsh.
I move favorable report.
I've got move favorable report by Senator Marsh, but first we have an amendment offered by Senator Barfoot. I'll offer the amendment. Second by Senator. Mr. Barfoot offers the amendment, seconded by Senator Marsh, and the amendment is on page 12, line 9. After requirements, insert the following: provided, however, that the training or certification requirements shall not apply to any public safety telecommunicator employed by the state of Alabama. Fair enough?
That's fair enough.
And a question by Senator Smitherman.
I just asking why the amendment. I'm not either. I just don't.
It took us, one of the state agencies that did not want to be included was the Forestry Commission. And the way the language was written, they felt like it made them do something that they don't do. So we agreed with them to pull them out of it.
Okay. Follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
Or do you want to go on and do the amendment?
I'd like to do the amendment. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor of adopting them, we need to get a roll started here. So if the clerk could call the roll on the amendment.
Senator Albritton. Senator Coleman Madison. Senator Figures. Senator Gavan. Senator Marsh.
Aye.
Senator Orr. Senator Sanders Fortier. Senator Singleton. Senator Smitherman.
Aye.
Senator Stutz. Senator Barfoot.
Aye.
Senator Watley.
Aye. Okay, the amendment is adopted. We have we'll come back to you, Senator Smitherman. Okay. We have a move for a report by Senator Marsh, a second by Senator Watley. The bill is now before us in proper form. Senator Smitherman, you have a question?
Yes. I've read, now and everything, but I just want to hear from you if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
The comparison and contrast. That's the best way I can put it to you. We doing this now. Okay, so we're doing this now. Now we're changing and doing this. Can you go through that scenario with me about, because I don't know what we did.
Are you talking about the amendment?
No,
Are you talking about the bill?
I'm talking about the whole bill.
Right. The way this bill came about is from a couple of anomalies that have occurred with 911 services over the years.
Like what? You got one example?
And I don't like to say that we pass bills because of one-off things that occur, but it was a series of things, and we decided to relate it to training. The one thing that occurred is a 67-year-old lady was kidnapped and raped, kidnapped from a Walmart. While this whole thing was going on, she had dialed the phone in her car, her cell phone. Her husband answered at home. He calls the police listening to all this going on. Over an hour transpires, all sorts of horrible things are occurring. Because of county lines and confusion amongst dispatchers at PSAPs, no police car ever rolled. No one ever went to rescue this lady. And there are numerous events that have occurred like that. So we're trying to increase the level of training and make the equipment better so that we don't have this sort of thing in the future.
I applaud what you're doing. I didn't know that was
That was what got me involved with one of my constituents.
I'm not going to hold out media because we got a lot to do, but I want to make this comment. I applaud what you're doing. I had something similar to happen to a relative. I just want you to know that, but they didn't run into that. Just because I know the value of what you're saying. This is somebody talking to somebody from, in Texas to somebody here in Alabama.
Right.
And something getting ready to happen to them in Texas. And the person on the phone picked up the phone and called back there. And because that didn't break down what you just saying, the police in that city was there in about 5 or 10 minutes. And actually got the person has been to trial, been found guilty of what is and everything. So I just want you to know that I applaud you because I saw myself visually what you saying happened to that lady could have happened to that person, but for the connection getting through. So if this is going to reassure that that connection is going to get through, I wholeheartedly support your bill.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator Smitherman. Any further discussion on the matter? Seeing no further discussion on the matter, the clerk call the roll.
Senator Albritton? Senator Coleman Madison?
Aye.
Senator Figures? Senator Gavan? Senator Marsh? Senator Orr? Senator Sanders Fortier? Senator Singleton?
Aye.
Senator Smitherman? Senator Stutz? Senator Barfoot?
Aye.
Senator Watley?
Aye. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Representative Allen. Bill, Senator, report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Thank you. Clerk will call the next bill, please.
SB 325 by Senator Watley.
All right, this is my bill, and this deals with land redemption. And what this is there's a case in the Alabama, I think, Court of Civil Appeals that creates some issues that legislative services or legislative agency has told me could be some issues in the future. This bill is something I'd like to waive our 2-minute rule on because I do think it's something that deserves some discussion. So I have brought with me Mr. Charles Ingram today, and Charles Ingram is an attorney in Opelika, Alabama, that I've known for quite some time, who brought this issue to my attention. There are some groups who have questions or are opposed to the matter in some manner, but I do feel like this bill deserves some attention and deserves some discussion. So I'm looking at you, Senator Gavan, because you do this type of work, and hopefully you can ask some questions if you have them that can enlighten the committee on this issue once Mr. Ingram presents it. I've already introduced you, so you can go right ahead, Mr. Ingram, as long as you mention what we had talked about.
Absolutely beautiful baby pictures. I'm pleased to report that.
Thank you.
Look just like a mama, right?
Absolutely.
No, that's not getting carried over. Go ahead, sir.
But I appreciate your time this morning. What we're attempting to do is not rewrite anything. We want the bill to do what it's supposed to do, but occasionally a bill leaves some room for interpretation, and sometimes that interpretation can come out poorly. And the way this is set up if a person does not pay their property taxes on their home or their land, then the taxes go for sale. And you're all familiar with that. The person, the owner of the property has 3 years to redeem that property administratively.
Right now.
Right. And that's the way it is. After that 3 years, the probate judge issues a tax deed. The tax sale purchaser then has 3 years to adversely possess the property to claim it as theirs. The owner still has that additional time to judicially redeem it, to bring an action to redeem the property. The time limit, it's unlimited.
I know you said unlimited, but you said additional time that they got to bring that.
Yes, sir. Okay, all right, let me start up because it is confusing. Well, and that's actually been changed to 8%. Right. So the first 3 years, if the owner can go down to the probate court and redeem their property. When they get issued a deed, they can still redeem their property, but they have the probate judge.
When the person who pays taxes get the deed issued by the probate.
Yes, sir. Okay, and at the 3 year mark.
They got to have that deed.
Right. Right. Yes, sir. The owner then can still redeem the property.
After the 3 years.
Yes, sir. After the 3 years. And the limitation that this statute imposes on the owner is that after the first 3 years, if the tax sale purchaser has adversely possessed the property for 3 years, that puts a limit on the owner from being able to even go back and redeem it judicially.
After the 3 years.
Right. So effectively, an owner has at least 6 years to redeem their property, the way it is.
The way it is right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We don't want to change that. But there's a case that has come out. I've provided copies to you. It's called Ryoprop. And the way the court interpreted it is that if the tax sale purchaser, not the owner, but the tax sale purchaser, if he does not take action to adversely possess the property for 3 years, then the property just reverts to the owner. The effect of that is, why would anybody ever pay their property taxes? You get it back in 6 years.
Not right there. So what they're doing is bringing the property go back to the owner. The tax, the person who bought it for the taxes has a deed after 3 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, the owner has up to 3 other years based on what you're saying, like that, they stick.
Right.
Okay. Then the tax person has the deed.
Yes, sir.
That bought it.
Yes, sir.
And you said that even though they bought it, they have a deed, that after some period, if something you said they don't do, it go back to the owner,
Yes, sir. Without them having,
and they have a deed,
right. Well,
then that law now.
the
That's
what?
what you're trying to do right here.
Well,
Case law. Okay.
right. It's a
So it's not a statute.
right. Right. Yes, sir.
It's their decided. It's a decision that the court made.
Yes, sir.
One court.
Right. Based on this statute. And what we're trying to do with this, we don't want to rewrite it. We want to say exactly what it says, but take out the option that the court can use this statute to say a person doesn't ever have to pay their property taxes because they'll get their property back in 6 years. And
Senator Figures.
No, it just doesn't make sense to me that, and I want a person to have every right to be able to get their property back. But it doesn't make sense to me that all of that time passes and the person who's already paid for the property and maybe have even made you won't even make any kind of repairs or whatever for the property. What if they're in the middle of a lease that they rented the property out? I don't think it's fair to that person. So it does need to be straight. So you're straightening all of this out. It's just
correct.
not fair.
Right.
I mean,
The person at tax sale has been paying taxes on it for 6 years.
Right.
And this decision says, sorry, you lose.
yeah, well, let's straighten this out.
Well,
I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
it's really not a loss, because if that person wants that to redeem their property, let's go and talk about it. You got to pay extra money to get it back. And usually poor folk who lose their property don't have the money to pay it in front. They don't usually get the opportunity to come back and get their property. And so you talking about it anywhere between, it used to be 12% on it. Now you're telling me it's 8%.
Yes, sir.
So in order for that person to get it back, they got to pay an extra 8% over the period of years that property based on the value of it now. And so they don't just get this, they get it back. They got to pay extra money to get it back.
Right.
But the way the court interpreted it is you just get it back.
That's the way that it's interesting. That's the opinion
That's
of
the
this
opinion.
of this court case,
Yeah.
and that's what is kind of throwing some things into flux. And I'm not saying that we need to. I think this is something that deserves some serious attention, serious discussion. Senator Smither.
I thank you for recognizing me. But I saw the senator, we kind of threw a hand up at the same time, and I'll talk once. I'm going to want to talk again, but I yield to him.
Okay.
And I really wasn't finished.
I'm sorry. I apologize to you. Let's
Go
go.
ahead,
Let's
Mr.
reset here
Chairman.
and let's go
Back
back to
in your
Senator
hands.
Figures.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I yield.
You're
Just continue to listen.
okay, Senator Albritton.
By default. This is one court decision. I've been involved with some of this, and there's a lot of court decisions out there that have had trouble interpreting the strength or the status of a tax deed.
Yes, sir.
All right, because you have a deed going to another party that's coming from a judgment that has no evidence presented.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, so that has been a difficulty. The other difficulty with the tax deed is it puts an incumbent requirement on the taxpayer, if you will, the guy who's actually paying the taxes, to come into court and to prove that he has adversely possessed it.
That's correct. That's
All right?
correct.
So where I'm getting to is there ought to be an easier way to do this. We already have in statute the color of title adverse possession.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a 10-year timeline.
Yes, sir.
Right. Why can't we simply take that statute and put some language in the current statute to give some embodiment that that 10 years is reduced to 6 years, for example, and I'm just making this off cuff here, but to reduce that adverse possession claim to that 6 years immediately, that clears up an aspect of color of title. It clears up the aspect of he still has to prove adverse possession and such, but it also provides him an actual claim of ownership, whereas the tax deed, as I understand it, is questionable at best.
That's correct. And Senator, the way the statute's written now, it's called the short adverse possession statute. And it was designed to put a limitation on the owner so that time doesn't go by, infinitely before the issue can be at least addressed by the tax sale purchaser.
That's why my suggestion of
Right.
taking the adverse possession claim of 10 years, putting that time limit there so that the title actually transfers given the time frame on that. That's just a suggestion.
Senator Smither.
I see what you're saying, and I see what Senator Singleton is saying, and somewhere in there we need to find a balance, because I understand exactly what you're saying from the legal standpoint. I started not to say this in here, but I'm gonna say it now. I'm in the middle of something just like that right now. I'm in the middle of it right now. Same thing you all saying. Same thing. Person paid for 10 years. 10 years come up in May. Other person hadn't paid anything. We in court on a bill of quiet title right now. Served notice on the person that hadn't paid nothing. I found them, served them, and they still hadn't done nothing. We in court and they still hadn't done anything after 10 years. And I had a personal service to give it to them. So I know what you're saying when you say that. I'm same thing, possessed it 10 years, made improvements, what she was saying, and everything. So I see the side where, you know, you got a lot of personal reasons time to get their property back, but I also understand what you're saying. And this one, the person knows and still not doing anything. And so it is a balance in there, because you're right about the tax deed, got the deed and everything. The strength of it is not what people think it is because they have a deed. They think they own the property, but they don't own the mineral rights, and they inherit the lien. That's all they're thinking. If it's a lien, they got to deal with it, and they don't have mineral rights, but they don't even have ownership of the property after the probate judge gives them an actual deed in a hearing. We're not talking about somebody just gives somebody a deed from the tax office. You go to court, in the probate court. Judge Friday is the one who signed. It's in my file, and yet that means nothing now because we are up here dealing with the quiet title aspect. And so now I'm going to really have a battle with this person 10 years because I know they're coming. I can feel it, you know. So now I'm going to be in the middle of what you just saying, and we have all these variations out there. So we do need to come together. I agree with what your thoughts and what you see the problem. It's just that how can we do that and go back to what he said there, because you know, anybody that served with me a long time know that was one of the concerns about people not having a chance to get their property who couldn't afford to, just like he was saying there, right at the moment. You know, you know, I'm just saying for what it is, you know, and so.
Senator, I'm glad you mentioned that. The Ryle Prop case cites two precedents. One of them was a bankruptcy case in Washington. That was my case. I represented the property owner. And the way the statute's interpreted, until the tax sale purchaser adversely possesses it for 3 years, the property owner can redeem it 10 years later, 20 years later. And what we were arguing in bankruptcy court was that because my debtor still lived in the property, he had not been asked to leave, he was still there, still in possession. The 3 years that this statute governs had not begun to run. So we were giving the debtor the opportunity to pay the tax sale purchaser back through the Chapter 13 bankruptcy plan. And Judge Sawyer agreed with that and said, even though it had been several years later, because the debtor still retained possession of the property, which is what's clear in the statute as it sits, the debtor still had the right to go in and pay it back. But what Judge Sawyer did not say in that opinion was, oh, it's been 8 years. He doesn't have to pay anything. He said he should be given the opportunity to pay this money back in a plan that he can afford. But what the ruling did not say again is, oh, it's been 8 years. He doesn't have to pay any of the taxes back.
Senator Gavan to ask, and then we'll go to you, Senator Singleton, and we're going to try to draw this to a close in the next 6 minutes. I think I got an idea of where we need to go with this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, I could go through some more stories over redemptions over the years, but this is not something that this case here. Let's see, when did it come out? 2018. I guess I hadn't done anything since that point in time, so I wasn't familiar with that case. That was never my impression of what the law was as far as reverting back to the owner. One particular concern I do want to point out, and because I have not litigated this in several years, what starts at the bottom of page 3 and carries over to page 4, I just want to make sure that the things that the owner would have to pay match up. I don't recall an attorney's fees provision for a redemption, but I just want to make sure that matches up with what existing law is. I don't want to change whatever existing law is on what you have to pay to redeem.
Senator Singleton.
It was part of what I wanted to say, but also I want to say is that this case did go before the Court of Civil Appeals.
It did.
Who affirmed the trial court.
That's correct.
And what they did. So obviously the Court of Civil Appeals didn't find that the trial court erred at any point.
That's correct.
And so they gave the man his property back in fee simple, absolute.
Yes, sir.
Which means that's the highest title that you can have.
Yes, sir.
And so obviously this is more than just a one-off court that said something, that this is the Court of Civil Appeal who obviously had to say that they thought that there was no evidence in this case where he was able to prove to them that the interest was in this case. So it goes a little bit further than just some circuit court or somebody said this and we affirm it, but this was vetted by the Courts of Civil Appeal also.
It was. That's correct, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know we have some interest groups that have called and expressed concerns. I'm not going to call them out here, but if they're here and they'd like to speak, would anybody like to speak? Okay, I don't see any interest in that. All right, it seems to me what we have here is an issue that all of us agree needs some attention or some clarification or some discussion. I'm not under any illusion that Senate bill coming out today of this type of magnitude with this, I'm not going to say controversy, but with questions is going to be able to make it through the entire body and become law. So what I would like to do, if the committee would agree, is I would like to vote on this bill and hopefully it receive a favorable report. But at that point, I would like to say to Judge, we need to get a subcommittee. I know this is the end of the quadrennium, but and I would like to appoint Senator Smitherman, Senator, who else would like to be on it? Senator Albritton, since he's not looking at me, and Senator Gavan. You were
Good subcommittee. Good subcommittee.
okay to get together and work with legislative fiscal office, legislative reference, legislative agency, and come up, or maybe take it to the Law Institute, and Law Institute thing, and Senator Biggins.
I just wanted to add another task to that subcommittee.
Okay.
They would deal with simplifying and dealing with heir property.
That is a good.
Some of the heirs are taking care of the
Yes.
property, paying all the taxes, and the other ones don't. But then when you cut the timber, everybody gets a piece. And anyway, you all know the story.
30-something people coming back all of a sudden with the
there are a lot of
Gotcha.
families who are having problems with that. So I would love for you all to look at that issue as well.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah,
Figgers. That's a great idea.
Yes.
All right, so Senator
I was just, under those circumstances, I was just going to move favorable report.
Smith moves favorable report,
Second.
second by Senator Singleton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the bill receives a favorable report. Thank you, Mr. Ingram. I do think this has shined a light on an issue that needs to go, and this is the type of thing that we need to discuss.
I appreciate everybody's time and attention to it. It's a dry subject. It seems unimportant, but the possible, you all absolutely, but the far-reaching consequences could be bad. So I appreciate your time and consideration this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. I appreciate your time coming in. If the clerk could call the next bill, please.
SB 103 by Senator Gavan.
Senator Gavan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And your daughter is lovely. I've been keeping up with her pictures even in the womb.
There you go, buddy. Proceed.
So while statistically I know it's not so, my predecessor, one of my predecessors has a saying of there's a 2% chance that anything can happen. And so often I'll say, well, there's a 2% chance anything can happen. So but in this case, there's a 1% chance or something like that to kind of go that it's remote. I think there's maybe a 0.5% chance that we're going to reach judicial détente in the time to get this bill out. So I don't hold out any hope, but if there is any hope that we're going to have some sort of resolution, that's why we've got the bill on the calendar. Because it would require 100%, I guess after Thursday would require 100% to report to the House. So I think its chances of passage are, again, less than 0.5%, but just in case that's possibilities out there, would love to move it out of committee.
Senator Gavan moves favorable report. Second
When you get through, I would like to be recognized.
Second by Senator Whiteley. Bills before us, Senator Smithman.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here when we were addressing. You remember last time I got caught up in traffic and I got here a little later, and of course I think we had addressed this, and then, so I'll just tell you that I appreciate the, you working and the approach you took that day. I just tell you that publicly. I appreciate that. Now, having said that, let me say this. I think that, and I've said it to certain individuals, but I didn't get a chance to say it in this committee. We have a need, and you all know the numbers. I don't. So when I say a number, I could be 4 off, 2 off, 3 off, or right on the money. There's a need for anywhere from, and I'm going to put a wide range, from 6 to 12 judges. Okay, I'm going to say that. Ain't, you know the words I'm using. This is the borderline Ebonic. If you know anything about Ebonics, this borderline, it ain't there. Ain't no way. Ain't through reallocation with an area is only going to lose a judge if you took everything else out, they're only going to lose it every 2 years. You talking about 6 to 12 years from now before you even get to 12. Okay, reallocation shouldn't even be a part of the problem that we got with the judges. It's called redistribution. Should be the word redistribution of the money in general fund. That's the bottom line. We got extra money. I mean, I know we do. I know we're doing other things with it, but we have extra money. That's the only way that we gonna get these judges. We gotta just come over with assign them to where the people, the same way we did it in the past. You put a bill in and say, Madison supposed to get 2, you vote, say yeah, somebody else get 1. That's because I was chairman of Judiciary for 10 years. So that's why I know that's how we did it. For all through the 10 years, filling the judges. And we put the money in and sign it there. That's what's got to be done. You ain't going to get that through reallocation. I'm just going to tell you that it just won't. You know, I of course, you know how I feel about that on the other side, but I'm just saying it won't. So if we're going to address and solve this problem, it's going to be simply that we're going to have the will to put the money there and to, among the body, decide who gets how many or what. So I wanted to say that there's no other solution than that. The Supreme Court justice is in favor of that solution. I just want to say that. I know, I'm speaking and even, but my perception is that he is, and I think I'm accurate, is that so because you can't get there where you trying to get there in that situation. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is this. We and this is just a fact, and so I'm saying it not to him, but I'm saying I'm using his county because so I don't want him to think I'm saying to him, but we've focused reallocation of taking judges from Jefferson County. The way and look nowhere else in the state. We said Jefferson County is the one that 66 counties going to come at, and they're going to do that. Let me say this to you: it's a reason why the CARES, I think Affordable Care Act or whatever, out of Washington, D.C., said that we're going to send the state of Alabama X amount of $1 million. But in this state, it's going to be one county, we're going to send them X amount of dollars directly because they got 700,000 people in their county. Madison got 450,000. Everybody hear me now? So how are you going to say we don't have enough and we got 300,000 people that's more. You take these counties, I bet you it ain't 3 other counties that's got more people than our excess over 400,000. The excess. We grew by 80 or 90,000 this year after the census. So it's no justification in taking something where we already are stretched out like everybody else and do that. The second thing is this, and the senator sitting there, he may not speak out loud, but he will. I think if I trust his honesty, he would say what was brought out in this situation. The reason for the 3-year delay in there in the first place, because it was supposed to be a physical count, not no weighted count of the bill. Then they said it would take 3 years to do it. Okay. That's the only way. The second thing, you're going to know the real load in counties. You say, what you mean? Madison, something I know that they did in the past. I don't know if they're still doing it. There was a grant that way back in the day they was trying to get out of Washington, D.C. And because of that, the case numbers had a determining factor over, whether you get the grant or not. They selected to count underlying cases with new case numbers. You understand what I'm saying? A DUI, reckless driving, illegal lane turn, and no insurance. And that's 4 cases. They gave a case number to this one, this one, this one, and this one. In Jefferson County, the DUI, we gave one number, and we still got these same 3 cases. So unless you go in and count the underlying cases in the counties that did not assign a number, it's a false illusion on the numbers. Everybody hear what I'm saying? That's false illusion on the numbers. They didn't want to do that. That's why they went to quote the weighted mean. So in our county, the only thing in the weight is that one number. See what everybody hear me now? Okay, so there's no way that you can use the weighted mean to say that this is our load when we got all these underlying cases. Okay, so I wanted to say that. We even met with our DA, who Brandon, I think Falls at that time, was the DA. And the DA and several of them said that they had figured out a way to reclassify, to put the numbers even on criminal cases the same way, because everybody saw that that's what existed. So I want to, this is kind of a little education for everybody. I want you to understand that when you talk about that, those factors all those factors we said have got to be addressed. And that's why I say in conclusion, Mr. Chairman, that the solution is going to be that we're going to have to man and woman up and put the money there and and help everybody get the judges that they need to do.
Thank you, Senator Smitherman. I'm going to come to you in a second. I believe everything you said is 100% correct, and I appreciate you bringing up those about the weighted caseload study, about the way to go forward. The easiest way is to do the allocation of money. And Senator Marsh, do you need to? I wanted to tell you, I didn't know if you were heading out with your. Okay, good. I just want to also tell you I've enjoyed serving with you if you were going to head out. And thank you for being on the committee this year. Senator Albritton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing this bill for a topic of discussion. The reallocation bill wasn't a generation from the legislature, as I understand it. That was a plan given to us by the Judiciary. No?
No. That was a plan that was negotiated with Senator Orr and the body, of course, and myself.
Who came up with the weighted caseload instead of a counted caseload?
They the one wanted the weighted caseload.
Who's they?
AOC.
AOC.
Right.
Right.
But that wasn't part of our negotiation. That wasn't part of the agreement. Even though the bill, when they left us, the bill changed. And benign to me, that part changed. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I understand. Okay, that my point though is that we took a plan from the Judiciary, the county with the weighted cases, and we negotiated what we thought was going to be a settlement, and maybe not a complete solution, but a type of solution that we could run this through. We are now, that reallocation bill has not worked. It's not functioning. There's not been any changes out or any new judgeships formed from that endeavor. So we're stuck with finding another plan. I don't think the plan is going and should be a allocation district by district or county by county. If we're going to do a change, we need to be fair and equitable with the state. We need to make sure that not only is the 23rd and the 19th and whoever else is listed in here are taken care of, but we need to make sure that we have a pattern and a plan that we can move forward on. This can't be just another means that all you have to do is come in and ask for another increase to move it on. We've got to have a reason, and we've got to show the data of where the needs are and where the resources of the state need to be applied. And we need to do that in an orderly fashion under the guidance of what the judicial branch tells us they need. Now, that's kind of where I am. Now, I know I'm the stick in the mud. Y'all do too. You know how I feel about this. And I'm ready and willing to come to terms and to work with a system that will bring about the change in the judicial matter that can help the people of Alabama. I'm not interested, and this may be taken way out of context, I'm less interested in helping the judiciary, how they count cases. I'm less interested in how they set up and plan on how they're dealing their jobs. That's their job. I am interested in devising a plan whereby we can equitably and fairly distribute the resources of the state. So I know where I am on this as far as the vote. You know where I'm going to vote. So
Thank you, Senator Albert, and I do appreciate it. Senator Smith, do you have another comment?
Just a brief comment. I respect my chairman, but I respect what you were saying about, this might not be the right word, but your position, that could be strong, but I respect that. But, the forestry department, if y'all got a copy of when they featured me, on there, on the front page, the heading on the front page was right by my name. Okay, good. Okay. The heading on it said, walk a mile in his, they were talking about me, walk a mile in his shoes. Because they understood a variety of things in the interview. So they just said, walk a mile in his shoes. If you could walk a mile in my shoes and you on this side, well, the target for 66 counties is to take away stuff, then you would have an interest like I do in those aspects of those things, what you said there. Now, my last comment is this, and I have to do it because we're so close to Black history. We passed it a little bit, but we're still close to it. Where we are now reminds me a lot of where we have been and where we are as a race. I'm the one saying that, so ain't nobody else talking on race stuff. I said that. And simply this. You can't tell a group of people that after 400 years, everybody else took off in the race and run down there for 400 years, and they sit here and will beat, kill, everything else if they tried to learn how to read. That's right. That's history. Okay. And now you want to say that, okay, let's take off, and you got an opportunity like me, so what are you complaining about? And I ain't gonna call no names, but I've had one person sitting in this room, we had that conversation. I ain't gonna call no names. But how can you take off and expect that, and expect me without giving me some high octane gas in my car, so you running 60 and I can run 80 to eventually catch up? High octane gas is at risk, helping people who can't read so they can catch up. All those kind of things. You said, why are you saying all that? The same principle is here. We can work on and get a plan, but that plan ain't going to catch us up for the 12 that they need. We need the 12, then get the plan. That's all I'm saying. In order to get, because you can stay in the plan all you want to, and the plan is going to be just like what we saying. Here's the plan right here. Here's the need right here. And just they keep moving. You got to get up to here. Then let's try to move that thing forward to deal with one here, one there as they come. So that's my response, and to that, I still said that we got to have whatever number y'all say, 8, 12 or whatever. Then we look in that direction and deal with what we get. Not wait until we do this and 12 turns to 14 to 16, 17. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Coleman Madison and then Senator Barfoot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I'm not of the legal persuasion, and I just kind of break it down in layman's term that you cannot rob Peter to pay Paul. And that seems like a situation where we are. However, it does not necessarily mean that Paul does not need to have his day in court and be fair as well. So as statesmen and stateswomen, it seems like we're going to have to find some more money. We're going to have to increase the pie. Because Senator Smitherman is correct. This weighted system is not working because it does look at those counties which have those multiple cases that's counted as one, and certainly that is not fair. But we have other areas that are growing that have needs, so I would prefer that we try to find a way to make them whole as well, rather than taking away from robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Thank you, Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Barfoot, and then Senator Figures.
I won't belabor the point. The 19th Circuit needs 2+ judges. How we get there, I don't know. I guess that's what we've been talking about. We desperately need a couple other judges in the 19th Circuit. So,
Senator Figures.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're state senators. We're state representatives. We vote on the state budget, the budget that's going to fund this entire state. We vote on the Education Trust Fund budget, the budget that's going to fund the whole state's public education. To me, this is no different with our judicial system. Now, I always tell people I am a state senator. I just get elected from a district which happens to be in Mobile, or just encompasses Mobile right now. And of course, we come here to be the advocates for our local issues. But at the same time, I think we need to come together because the judicial system affects this entire state, be it good, bad, or indifferent. Because if people don't get justice, there are people who are not getting their justice for being the victim of crimes that were committed against them. And there are people who are not getting the right punishment for committing the crimes. And with that, our jails and our prisons continue to be overcrowded as one of those reasons. So at some point, I don't know if we need to do a subcommittee for this, Mr. Chairman, but this issue has been going on and rolling along too long. And I think we need to go on and make a decision on what we need to do. And then everybody just needs to have the courage to see it through.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
You make some very valid points. I'd like to not belabor this anymore, but
I just want to jump quick on this one. And 2 years in a row, I done found the money to do it. I found 16 million last year. I found 23 million this year for general fund. Extra money. We ain't talking about even the increase we got. Okay. But we chose somebody nice over there. Let's get him a tax break. So we're giving away money. Well, we need money to solve these problems. We gave away money yesterday. SB, what, 400? Ain't that it? Wasn't that the bill? Get the tax on the grain. They don't have to pay no taxes or something, wasn't it? Oh, we didn't get to that. It's on the agenda. It'll be on there today. Give away more money. Out of the general fund. So don't nobody say, well, we ain't got the money. We giving away right and left. Right and left. Privilege tax, 23 million. We get 11, they got 11. Down the house. I know. Now, let me just say this here. I know how to find the money. I want you to know that. I just don't say some things. So that ain't no issue. About we ain't got the money. And if you don't want to use that money, I'll find some more for next year. I ain't even on that budget. But I'll find you your money. So, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say that. So all it is just like some of the figures said, the will to go on and get them 12 because we got the money. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Smith. And the bill's before us in proper form. All those in favor of giving a favorable report, signify by saying aye. We'll call for the long roll.
Senator Albritton? No. Senator Coleman Madison?
Come back.
Senator Figures? Senator Gavan?
Aye.
Senator Marsh? No. Senator Orr? Senator Sanders Fortier? Senator Singleton?
No.
Senator Smitherman?
No.
Senator Stutz?
No.
Senator Barfoot?
Aye.
Senator Watley?
Aye.
Senator Coleman Madison? Senator Figures?
No, until we can get a definitive plan to take care of everything.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to change my vote to abstain because I do agree with him to getting the senators. I just don't agree with this allocation part.
Okay.
So I just rather abstain because I am with you about getting your judges. I just want to know that. I just don't agree with that last part down there.
Okay.
I don't like abstaining. Trying to support Senator Smith, but I like being on one side of the fence or the other.
That's okay.
Stay with my number.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Okay, Senator Gavan, unfortunately, the bill does not receive a favorable report. There we go. Okay. We're getting,
Senator Smith got a point, though.
we've done a lot of talking on bills here, so, and that was good. On the discussions on these bills, and that things need to be discussed, but we're running a little short on time. I know some members have got to go to other places. If the clerk could call the last bill on the calendar,
SB 164 by Senator Watley.
SB 164. I'm not going to explain this. I'm going to give it to Senator Smitherman and ask you to take it home because I know you don't like it. I know you've got a clerk that doesn't like this bill. Let's see. Yeah. But I've asked, yeah. But I've asked you for several years to get that clerk to call me and tell me what she doesn't like about it so we can fix it. And I hadn't heard back. So what I would like you to do, I'm going to assign this bill to you, and then I'm going to move to carry it over. And if you would please get it to your folk and ask them to tell me what's wrong with it so we can fix it.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
I call them when we get a break today.
I appreciate that.
I'll do that.
I move to carry the bill over. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, bill's carried over. Back to 279 and 287, please.
Okay. SB 279 by Senator Singleton.
And Senator Singleton, I'm going to ask the clerk to also call 287 because both of, and the reason is because we're running short on time.
Yeah,
and both of these.
And I'm gonna save you some time.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna save you some time. I've been visited by a lot of people about these bills, and I appreciate you putting them on the calendar. And I know that this bill is already dead. They've already told me to work y'all.
I'm with you 100%.
I know they're gonna vote no, but it's fine. But what I wanted to do was to bring to light in these bills was just the fact that there's no diversity on these courts.
None at all.
And that when you look at the Supreme Court and the courts of civil and criminal appeals, there are no diversity, period, there. And I just want the members of the court who's against this to understand and look around at yourself and ask, does this represent Alabama? And I want the members of this body to look at and see, does our court represent what Alabama is? And I'm not giving up on this bill, but I'm going to just go on and respectfully, Mr. Chairman, is to carry both of these bills over at this point in time.
Motion to carry over. Senator Smitherman.
I'll second it and just ask to speak on it before we carry it over.
Senator Smitherman moves second to carry the bill over. Senator Smitherman, you want to speak now?
Yes.
Okay, Senator Smitherman.
I agree with Senator Singleton. In a state with, I'm do like you do in math. You can say 28, 29, I'm going to round it off. In a state with 1/3 of their population African American, it does not make any sense that we don't have some kind of representations on these courts. Ain't no way we gonna never win in no statewide election, or so that at large ain't gonna work. So I do think we need to look at some methods like many other states. We got states in the South who have looked at the process to make sure that diversity is on their courts. And we need to look to see how we can give that opportunity to have that kind of diversity on our upper courts. So I wanted to say that, and I hope that we would do that because I just have to call it for what it is. Anybody that's against something like that, then that's racism. You don't want nobody black on it. That's just the bottom line, because I don't want it ain't no qualified shit. We don't have 2 Supreme Court justices that been black. There's plenty of folks in this state. Anybody who says that would insult to the max my intelligence. Tells me out of 1.5 or 6 million people that ain't nobody qualified. So I think that yes, he's right about that, and we need to once again have the will and courage as a body, us, okay, to do that. And I'm gonna say it just like that. Surely in the 50s or whatever, when we started talking about Jim Crow was legal, and those people coming out of that had enough courage to make sure Thurgood Marshall was on the Supreme Court. Sure, in 2022, whatever it is the reason, we got enough courage in this body to do what's right in terms of diversity on the court. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And before we go
Thank you, Mr.
turn to figures, I wanted to say this. You make some good points, and I appreciate what you did several years ago with the National Guard. We have like 12,000 people in the National Guard, and we have 10 general officers in the Guard, but yet we had 0 African Americans. And we have 1 now, possibly 2 if somebody gets their federal recognition. But still, that's that at the time, and also at that time when you brought it up, we had only 1 of those National Guard generals that was actually living in the state of Alabama. And what you're telling those 12,000 soldiers and airmen is that, look, out of all of y'all, there ain't none of y'all in Alabama qualified to serve as a general. And that's wrong. And you brought that up, and I appreciate you doing it. It figures.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I totally agree with my colleagues. That is the very reason the form of government was changed in the city of Mobile some years ago, back in the 1980s. That was led by my husband, Senator Mike, the late Senator Michael Figures, and Representative Mary Zagabe, who was in the House at the time. We had a 3-member at-large commission form of government. There was no way for a minority to be elected to the Mobile City Commission. So that government was changed to a mayor city council form of government, whereby the city council even has a supermajority vote, which ensures that everybody will always have a voice, no matter who the minority is. So we need to do the same thing for the judges. I have believed that all of our judges, even in Mobile, and I know perhaps in Jefferson County doesn't have that problem because of the population, the way it's made up. But we need district judges in Mobile so that we can have some African Americans sitting on that bench.
Thank you, Senator.
Mr. Chairman, I have to use your
It's amazing to me, Senator, that you always say thank you for me before I can say thank you, letting you know that I'm finished, but you always let others finish themselves. I would appreciate that respect.
Senator Figures.
Thank you. I'm done now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just want to use your school, and I think you went to Albany. You went to Auburn. Yeah, I want to use y'all school as an example of what I'm saying. We talked to the Auburn University people about the same thing, about diversity on the board. And let me tell you what they had the courage to do. Auburn University, all board members resigned, trusting that we would put them back and to restructure the makeup of the board so that you could have diversity on there. And we reappointed them back and appointed to the diversity. That was courage, every one of them. And that's all I'm saying. You know, guys, just do what's right. They say, okay, this is what we got. Jacksonville State did the same thing. Same thing we saying. Fire College did the same thing. They, like what you were saying about them generals, they pulled people and said, we got to take them through this track so we can have them ready to do that. And they did that. Forrester did the same thing. I mean, why we as a body can't have the courage if all these organizations understand what we're saying on their own? They weren't legislated to do it. We shouldn't be struggling with as a body to do what's right. Okay? So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Senator Smitherman. Senator Figures, I apologize to you.
And you do have a beautiful daughter, and I thank you for sharing those pictures with me when she was born. Thank you.
You're very kind to me. Senator Coleman Madison.
I just wanted to say that, you know, we're getting ready to go into a new quadrennial. And as everyone has said, we are the leaders of the state. Everybody looks to us to set the pace. And it would be nice as we look and we bring up and we talk and talk and talk about all these things that need to be changed, that we need to take that step. We are moving into another century right now. The whole world is coming to the state of Alabama, and they're looking at us. You know, people are not just here for World Games. They are here for other things, whether they want to locate a business and how we do business. And people around the world, you have more people of color. So when they come here to the state of Alabama and they're looking, is this a good place to locate? But I think we are past the point now, because I look at how we operate here in the Senate. We're a pretty good group. We get along with each other. You know, at first year was kind of rocky because we didn't know each other. But the more we get to know each other, we work together on things that we didn't think that we would be working together on. But I think it's time for us to set the pace for the entire state and stop having people look at Alabama, you know, based on what we did in the past. Let's look at what we're going to do in the future. And now it's time to correct some of these ills that we know are wrong. So it's up to us.
Thank you very much.
Not now, when?
Thank you very much, Senator Coleman Madison. Okay, the bill has been moved for carrying over by Senator Singleton and seconded by Senator Smithman. And all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The bill is carried over. Thank you, Senator. Both the bills, Senate Bill 279 and Senate Bill 287, are carried over. Thank you,
Thank you,
Senator
Mr. Chairman, for
Singleton.
putting them on the.
Thank you very much for bringing the issue forward. I know we've got to get out of here, so I'm going to ask the clerk to bring up my bill, Senate Bill 247, please. Yes, sir. Okay, how about let's do this? Let's move down and clerk, would you mind calling HB 315? Then we'll go back to HB 238, and then if I still have anybody here, I'll go to mine. We're gonna
HB
call
315.
HB 315.
HB 315 by Representative Gavan.
Senator Smith, are you handling that?
Yeah, I'm handling it.
Senator Smith.
I'm handling it. She's trying to get back. She's got caught up in some airlines.
Mr. Chairman, move the favor report.
Fair report by Senator Singleton.
Second.
Seconded by Senator Smitherman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign, no. Seeing no objections, the bill receives a favorable report. The clerk could call Senate House Bill 238.
HB 238 by Representative Faulkner.
All right, members of the committee, I'm
Move
standing
the
in.
favor report.
Second.
Moved for report by Senator Singleton, seconded by Senator Smitherman. All those in
Wait,
favor?
don't we have, okay,
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
we're not going by previous role. She's creating a new role as you say all in
I'm
favor.
going to say all in favor, yeah. But you want to give me a
I just wanted to be sure that because I think the last role we had abstentions. So I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yeah, we did not go on previous roll. We went, but you would like to call a previous roll, or if you would like.
wanted to be clear.
Okay, I did it. Yes, ma'am, I did it that way, so you were voting on it because I didn't want to call a full roll. But if you'd like to call a full roll, we can. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. You're done. Okay. All right. All those in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign for no. Bill receives a favorable report. Okay, the clerk could call the last bill we have on the calendar, my bill, Senate Bill 247.
Move favor report.
Whoa, hold on. I like that. I see some folks out there going,
I
yeah.
heard them say no idea.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
You really do want to shut down the rest of the
I knew
state.
that was gonna happen.
All right.
I knew that was gonna happen.
What I have here is a substitute.
That's in the same for who.
And what I would like to do is I'd like to offer the substitute, and then I would like to adopt the substitute so we can talk about the substitute. At that point, I'm going to recognize Senator Gavan, if that's all right with the committee, to make some quick points. And then due to the time situation we're in, I think I have some suggestions after you make your comments. Is that all right with you, Senator Gavan, and the rest of the body? Okay, I'd like to offer the substitute. Offered, seconded by Senator Smitherman. All those in favor of adopting the substitute, please say aye. Aye. Like sign for no. The substitute is adopted. The substitute is before us. Senator Gavan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have not seen the substitute because it wasn't in the package that I got yesterday, and I did read the bill. We addressed this last year. We had what we call a RIN bill, remote ink notary. It is, I've heard no issues about it. It is working, allowing people to go, whether it's by Zoom, FaceTime, whatever medium, WebEx, to do remote notarizations in the state of Alabama. This is really more about a private company that we would be forced to use, we as notaries, because I am a notary, that I think is unnecessary. So it's very problematic for me, and I will be voting no on the bill and contesting it on the floor.
Thank you, Senator Gavan. Senator Smithman.
I have a couple concerns, and I'll just share with you one. One is the fact that we have several people in our area, lack of a better word, who are remote notaries. You call the phone and say, I need a notary. Then they're there in the city, but they drive to your office. And at the time you tell them and you tell your client, you can coordinate all of that if you need that person. The second thing, those people are going to basically be out of a job. They don't make no money for $50. 75, the high one's 75 and the cheap one's 25 and the people in the middle, that's all. There's $50 for one of these. And that's the first thing. But the second thing is that if I got a situation at the end of next month that I got to prove a will, and luckily all three parties are sitting there in the city of Birmingham, the notary, the two witnesses, and everybody. Without that, I don't see how I could get the validity from the court's approval that those are the actual facts and the people who signed, unless they're in a position that can be in persona cross-examined by the court. So I that concerns me a lot, and I just want to share that with the sponsor.
Thank you, Senator Smithman. Senator Singleton.
Yes, I think this is a great bill because it helps save grandma. Just last week, we had a bill where hospitals were swearing they couldn't get a notary nowhere in the middle of the night while they're trying to pull a plug on grandma. Help save grandma's life. All right, we can get a notary through this bill.
Thank you, Senator Singleton. I kind of see where we're going with this with some questions and concerns. I don't want this bill to fail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look to Judge again to appoint a subcommittee to discuss this over the next year. I know it's in the quadrennium, and I'd like to appoint Senator Gavan, Senator Smitherman, Senator Singleton. Would you like to do it? Appoint Senator Barfoot, or would you like to do it? Okay.
Diversity.
Okay. Let's. Greg Albritton, Senator Albritton, on the since he's not here and he didn't stick around, and then on the civilian side, I'd like the members to contact Price Evans and Raymond Bell to also participate in this subcommittee to bring the consumer issues to the forefront, and hopefully we can come to some type of discussion on this and look at is it REN? And we have that, and so we can bring that into discussion to see how this is working, to see if we need to move any further with this. So with that said, I move to carry the bill over. Senator Smitherman seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And a like sign for no. Seeing none, the bill is carried over. Thank you very much for your attention this quadrennium. I appreciate your efforts in this committee. Senator Stutz, Senator Gavan, Senator Figures, Senators Coleman-Madison, Senator Singleton, Senator Smitherman, and all the rest. I really have enjoyed serving with you, and it's been an honor, Senator Smitherman.
I just want to personally thank you for your leadership in this committee. It ain't easy, and it's a lot of work. This committee get more bills than any committee in the Senate. I know that for a fact. So I just want to tell you, you ought to be commended. I mean that sincerely.
And thank you
for the way that you led this committee.
I learned from you. Thank you very much for that. And I've been working with you back in the aughts. So
they don't know we were together before you even thought about coming down here.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to join with Senator Smithman in saying thank you for your leadership. You've been fair, and you've been very respectful to all of us as committee members. So I certainly appreciate that. And you do treat women right. Thank you. And I know you are not because you have a little girl. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to working with you again. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, buddy. Yes, ma'am.